Religion, politics, and money. The three things they tell us not to talk about. Today we're going to talk about all three.
Let's do it.
So the reason we're doing this episode is I believe that most of us are living inside of a system that we don't even realize exists. And it's shaping our behaviors and it's shaping our outcomes. And it's, in the long run, it's pulling us away from God.
What do you mean when you say system? Because my mind jumps to conspiracy theory. Like I'm definitely drawn to those and can get swallowed up into those pretty easily.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do that as well. But I don't believe that it's a group of governments or a boardroom of evil people sitting around a table conspiring against us. I think it's closer to incentives that are driving culture, which then drives human nature. People or companies or corporations, they're going to optimize for profit. They're going to optimize for power. And then they can leverage the human individual wanting to optimize for comfort. And then they can take advantage of that. And so, I don't think it's a group of people necessarily plotting evil against us. I think it's a group of people who see opportunity to leverage us and then take advantage of that.
Well, do you have examples of that? Because it's easy for me to picture like those evil people in a boardroom, right? But what do you think is a good example of a system that's doing that if it's not like a full-on conspiracy theory?
Yes, the obvious one that everybody can experience and can at least relate to on some level is like the health or the food sort of one. Mm-hmm. So we're incentivized for reasons we're going to get into in future episodes, but we're incentivized to eat bad food because it's convenient.
Right.
But then that has an impact on our health negatively, and then that impact on our health has a positive impact on the pharmaceutical powers that be. And so that's a pretty common loop that most people can understand. Eat bad, get sick, take drugs.
Yeah.
And then that loop just continues. So there's a lot of opportunity there for people to exploit that. But some other ones that are pretty common is like attention addictive loops. So things like social media, TikTok, YouTube, all these things that grab our attention and then suck us into a loop is another one. And then money is another pretty obvious one. Debt is normalized. Consumption is rewarded. Taxes are everywhere. And then there's some hidden taxes that we'll also talk about.
It's just interesting because it's hard for me not to feel like those people that are in charge of those things know what they're doing.
Yeah. I think it's easier to point it to a conspiracy because it takes our responsibility out. If we believe that there is a society that is going to make this impossible for us, then we can kind of lay down and not make an effort. If we can look at it as an incentives-driven culture, then we can kind of at least recognize it and then address it and try to get our way out of it.
So is that where do you feel like faith comes in?
Yeah.
Where do you see faith coming in?
So, because when you step back, a lot of what's rewarded in the system, gluttony, greed, distraction, pride, those aren't random things. Those are things that we read in scripture all the time.
Yeah, like the sins.
Yeah. And so don't believe that it's a group of evil masterminds, but it aligns with a broken human nature. And so sin is in essence the separation from God of an individual, but it's also that sin is the brokenness of humans. And so that broken human nature can be leveraged by corporations. And so let's be clear, when I say I don't think it's a group of evil people sitting around plotting against us, I'm not saying they're not evil people. I just don't believe they're sitting around and plotting against us. These aren't good people. They are exploiting us for profit and for financial gain.
Yeah, like capitalizing on sort of like our propensity to sin.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so the system itself doesn't necessarily create the brokenness. That's part of human nature, but it definitely amplifies it.
And you feel like those systems are pulling us from God?
Yeah. maybe not pulling away directly,
Hmm.
but at least creating people to drift. So it's unlikely that many people just wake up one day and say, I'm done with faith. I'm done with my connection to God.
Right.
It's more likely that convenience and comfort has just crept into their life little by little by little, into the point where they've completely fallen off the track.
Like that boiling frog.
Like the boiling frog.
Yeah, that's true. But people, so it's like that. There's a maybe not subconscious, unconscious drift, but it is because people are making these choices, right?
Yeah. There is a huge component of this that is personal responsibility. And we're going to talk about in episode 3 some of the things we can do to kind of move our way out. But for now, we're kind of just looking at the awareness. But yeah, there's a big element here that is human responsibility. And that's what makes it super important to be aware of the system that is out there, and we are living in it.
Yeah.
It's just that most people are not aware that we're in that.
Right. And so blaming it on like a big conspiracy theory is kind of the same thing as just saying, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So where do you feel like that line between the influence that these systems have and our personal responsibility is?
You're definitely responsible. The system is there. It incentivizes our behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we continue to behave in the way that rewards the system's just going to keep growing.
Yeah.
So the responsibility is on the individual to break that pattern. And then the system would at least have to pivot and come up with something different.
Right.
But yeah, the responsibility comes back to the individual, but it also comes down to our leadership. And that's something we're going to get right into in the 3rd episode as well.
And then kind of regardless of whether the system shifts or not, if we each take personal responsibility for our participation in it, that directly impacts us in our life, right? Like what do you feel like the danger is of not taking that personal responsibility?
Yeah, as there's something in scripture that says the renewing of your mind. And I think I think this is the reason, like, because if we don't intentionally shape our minds, then something else is going to shape them.
Right. Like if you don't know where you're going, you'll go anywhere based on whatever's pushing you around, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of wild to think about. That's it. Well, I always reference that country song.
Which one?
You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Yeah. And that's what we see.
Yeah.
We're creatures of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society and a system that rewards comfort. And as a result, it opens the doors for big corporations to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I feel like
not to the betterment of us, to the detriment of us.
Like it rewards short-term comforts.
Yeah. Immediate gratification.
Yeah. Versus long-term stability.
Yeah.
Which causes you to be comfortable in the short term, but in the long term probably leads to more discomfort, right? Like especially if you're talking about health and what you're eating.
Yeah, in the long run, for sure.
Yeah.
Most people just don't, they don't make the trade for better later. They tend to want to choose what feels good in the moment rather than what's going to be good in the long run, because one's immediate and one is so far out that it's hard for people to comprehend that small bad choices now can have such a lasting effect in the long run. And so you kind of protect yourself mentally a bit.
But you can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily understand the impact of the small choices that we make day to day and how they're going to come back in the future.
Well, when did this become like a reality for you rather than just sort of like this thing that was out there?
I mean, COVID was a big one. It opened the eyes for a lot of people.
Yeah, for me, it was a big part of it too.
I've been in the health industry my whole life. And so I've always seen, I've seen a discrepancy between what we call healthcare and what I see in the world of delivering health.
Right.
And then I could see the incentives for doctors to be pushing drugs. So that was one that got in that got me early. Like I said, COVID was a big one. And then the money one, like I started to realize just how imprisoning it is to own a house. And that kind of opened my eyes to a different different chapter of that. And then the faith one kind of came late. So for me, it was more just piecing it together over a long period of time. It probably started with fitness and health.
That's pretty cool, because mine definitely, like, my realization of that started with having kids and like what the birth industrial complex looks like and what that does to moms and babies. That it's funny how you can find a one thing and then it leads you to pull on so many threads to others. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. So what do you feel like the actual danger in not recognizing these systems is?
Yeah, the obvious ones that we've just touched on: poor health, financial stress, and then lack of purpose is the big one. And these are all very intertwined. We're going to talk about that in the third episode as well. But for now, it's just worth noting poor health, financial stress, and lack of purpose are the key kind of pillars that we need to address, because they're the ones that are going to have lasting effect.
Right. So what do you think someone can do to kind of get out of these systems, or at least be aware of them without overcomplicating it?
Yeah. So the first thing is to understand that you are in a system. There are these incentive-based systems in the world that are leveraging your behavior to then exploit you for profit.
Right.
The first thing is to understand that that is occurring. If you don't, it's going to be tough. And then you have to decide if you want to break out of that system.
Right, because some people might be fine being in it.
Yeah, and it's comfortable. It's hard, but it's comfortable. And sometimes people would choose the hard comfort over the unknown.
Right. We've talked about that before on the podcast, that people would rather choose what they know because it's, at least you know it. Yeah, right. Familiar.
Yeah. And so, I think that's a better word. It might not be comfortable, but it's based on a series of decision-making that are comfortable, and then it creates a familiar. And then people are happy to be in the familiar more than they are. It's like the Matrix, red pill, blue pill situation. You can know the truth and live in that world, or you can just take the blue pill, go back, and just live your life and never know anything was happening. That's pretty much sums it up.
Right. And then we talk about a lot too, like God doesn't call us to comfort. So kind of what we're here to talk about is getting out of that, the comfort of those systems, right?
Yeah. So we first recognize we're in a system and decide if we want to break out of it or not.
Yeah.
Then we need to audit our inputs. So that's inputs of all. It's not just what we eat, but it's what we ingest into our mind. So what we listen to, what we watch, how we spend our time, all the inputs into our life.
Right.
Are we working out? Are we eating? What are we eating? How are we spending our time? Are we on the couch? Are we watching Netflix, or are we working out?
Yeah.
Are we eating fast food? Are we eating clean food? Are we listening to things that are going to sharpen our mind? Are we reading books, or are we just watching mindless Netflix?
Right, like connecting with our loved ones in meaningful ways.
Right, that's a big one as well. So that's the second part. Audit those inputs. Find out where you are, like where you could be better, and then create space for God every day.
Yeah, because what happens if people don't recognize they're in these systems? Do you feel like that affects their connection to God?
Yeah, I think that drifting away that just comes in as a result of choosing what's easy all the time. It's really hard to make the easy choices throughout life and then stay connected to God. So it's that natural drift that kind of comes apart. And then lastly, just start questioning normal.
Yeah.
So just because it's common doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, that's a very strong misconception. Like that, well, everyone else is doing it. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, right? So what's interesting about all of this is how the idea for our podcast even started, right? Like before either of us even went down the faith path that we're on now, it was all of our discussions like over long rocks about all of these things.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool, because we were looking at it from a societal perspective, how to operate within these systems that do clearly exist.
Right.
And then how to break out of these systems. So a lot of our discussion was around that sort of stuff, and that personal excellence being the anchor of that. But now seeing it from a different view, we can see that it's not that we're just going to drift physically or financially.
Right.
We'll drift spiritually, and we won't even realize what's happening.
And what's cool about that is now like that's become the most important thing
Right.
for us, right? Because we recognize without that, nothing else matters.
Yeah. And I think all of the work that we can do within society is all this life.
Right.
And it really doesn't matter. What matters is eternity.
What do you say? Seek the kingdom first.
Seek the kingdom first.
Yeah.
And all else will follow.
And all else will follow.
So yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. All we wanted to do is just give a quick overview. It's going to be a 3-part episode. In the next one, we're going to get into the meat of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about the big 3 traps, discuss what they look like, how we get in them, and then how we can get ourselves out of them. And then in the 3rd episode, we'll tie it all together, bring it to a closing point and talk about the responsibility of the individual and then how we can shape leadership as a result, and try to create a society that's not driven by this incentive structure.
Right. I hope you like listening because these are the things we love talking about. So it's like a little bit of a deviation from what we've been doing, but we're excited to get into these things too.
Yeah, and we'll release 3 in a pretty small period of time. So please like and share the episodes, get them out to your friends. If there's anything in there that that you think helps or could be useful, share the episodes out. We want to get the word out and let this thing spread.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out on Instagram or tell us if you disagree or like whatever it is. We're open for discussion.
Big 3 Traps, episode 2.
Yeah.
Coming up next.